Hello, everyone. How are you? How are you? How are you? Listen, I want to first of all say thank you for everyone for coming in. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. I say thank you every time I come live with you or every time I have a conversation with you because I really want you to know how much I appreciate. I appreciate your follows. I appreciate your likes. I appreciate your subscriptions. I appreciate your sharing. I appreciate your comments. Um, Today, I want to have a very serious conversation with you. All right. I want to have a very, very serious conversation. Over the last several weeks, I've been talking to organizations that have started their nonprofits, right? And they were misled, they were misinformed, they were not given complete information. And, those of you guys who are new to me, you know that I've been in this work for 40 years. This year, this month started 40 years of being in the nonprofit space. And it breaks my heart that there are so many organizations that have amazing programs, that have wonderful missions, but are not able to support or sustain themselves. And it's not because of lack of money. It's not because of lack of money. It's largely because of misinformation or not complete information. And so I want to have that really serious conversation with you today. And I want to say this clearly. Most of you are not struggling because you do not care. Most nonprofit organizations don't struggle because they don't care. Most organizations struggle not because their mission is not good, right? They are not even struggling because there's no money available. That's not why they struggle. They struggle because they built the program before they built the organization. And that mistake is costing them years. It's costing you money, it's costing confidence, it's costing opportunities, and in many cases, it's costing the future of the organization, the future of the mission that you care about. Now, let me say this, there's a lot of people in this space that talk about grant writing or starting a nonprofit or boards or events, right? All these little pieces. There are even people who talk about the paperwork, right? They sell the service of doing the bylaws or they sell the services of doing the 1023 form, right? All of those things are not starting your nonprofit organization. I'm going to say that again. Going to get a grant writing class, going to get a fundraising class, um going to get a board development class, right? Going to somebody who says, I can do your paperwork, I can set up your nonprofit. They're not setting it up. That's not setting it up. That is doing the paperwork to make it legal, but it is not setting up the organization. Let me say that again. The paperwork is only making or presenting the organization as being legal, legally designated as tax exempt, legally able to get donations, legally able to deliver a program and bring in resources that are exempt of taxes. That's all the paperwork does. It does not set up the organization. And your lack of knowledge, your lack of clarity, your lack of understanding of what building it or setting it up means is costing you. It's costing you. It's costing you money. It's costing you confidence. It's costing you opportunities. And it's costing you the future of your organization. Because here's what happens: you see a need, and then you get passionate, and then you want to help people. And then you start doing the work of the program, right? You start serving, you start feeding the homeless, you start doing mentoring programs, you start doing the youth project, you start doing the theater group, you start doing, you start giving out the backpacks, you start giving out the bicycles, whatever it is that you start doing. You start giving. You start pouring into the mission. But no one ever told you to build the structure of the organization that allows the mission or the program to survive. No one told you that. Google didn't tell you that. Chat didn't tell you that. YouTube University didn't tell you that. And these people that are saying, I can help you start your nonprofit, I can do your paperwork. The paperwork is paper. The paper doesn't get a grant. The paper doesn't get you funding. The paperwork is not starting your nonprofit. It is registering it. It is making it a legal entity. That's all it is. That piece of paper cannot help you raise funds. That piece of paper cannot help you put together a fundraising strategy. That piece of paper cannot help you bring in the resources that are going to pay salaries. Am I making sense? So now you're stuck. Now you're stuck. You are personally funding the entire organization. You're paying for everything out of your pocket. You don't have any consistent funding. All your money is inconsistent funding. Your board is not clear or inactive. That can't be rectified by a piece of paper. Now you're burned out. Now you're overwhelmed. Now you're frustrated. And you keep asking the wrong question. The wrong question. How can I get funding, Jen? How do I get a grant, Jen? How do I get board members, Jen? Jen, funding is my biggest challenge. Jen, how do I get partners? That's not the right question. The better question is, did I actually build an organization that is ready to receive and sustain funding? The piece of paper, the 1023 form, does not make you ready to receive funding. It does not make you ready to sustain funding. And unfortunately, because no one told you what building the organization looks like. No one told you what is required to start, not just start the program, but start the organization, system, structure, process to bring in the money to sustain the program. Because without that, you are paying for everything out of your pocket. You launch the program. Now you're paying for the program. You're paying for everything. You done bought this, you done paid this, you done paid for this. Everything is on your back, out of your pocket. But what you've actually done is you've built the organization to depend on you. Because you're the donor, you're the funder, you're the supporter. Everything's coming off of your credit card, out of your savings. Instead of building the organization to sustain itself. Can y'all tell I'm passionate today? I'm passionate today because let me tell you guys what I'm tired of. I'm tired of the misinformation. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I am tired of the people that are giving you little bits and pieces of information. And you walk away not knowing, thinking that you got the whole thing. That's what Google did. That's what Google did to you. That's what Cousin Chat did to you. You typed in, how do I start a nonprofit? And they said, oh, get your EIN. Get register at the state. Do your bylaws. Fill out the 1023 form. Get your 501c3. That's not starting a nonprofit. That's not starting a nonprofit. Listen, I want you to listen carefully. Because by the end of this, You should be able to identify whether your nonprofit has a funding problem or whether it has a structure problem that is showing up as a funding problem. I'm going to say that again for the people in the bushes. At the end of this, you should be able to identify whether your nonprofit has a funding problem, a money problem. You need money. Do you have a money problem? Or do you have a structure problem that is showing up as a money problem? The mistake is simple to describe. The mistake is simple to describe, but it is expensive to live through. You all are building what is visible first. I'm going to say that again. You are building what is visible first. You're building the program. You're building the event. You're building the outreach. You're building the service idea or the program idea. That's not the nonprofit. That's not starting the nonprofit. What you did not build, you did not build the governance, the fundraising system, the budget structure, the donor pathway, the operational flow, the accountability systems, the leadership expectations, the measurement process. Now, many of you have never even heard of those words because that's not what's discussed. That's not what's shared. That's not what's shown. So, what looks like a nonprofit, hear me now, what looks like a nonprofit is often just a passionate person carrying a program on their back. I'm going to say that again. Many of you have what looks like a nonprofit, but what you really have is a program that you are carrying on your back. You're paying for everything. You're paying for the materials. You're paying for the supplies. You're paying for the equipment. You're paying for the space. You are literally funding the entire organization. You have made the nonprofit organization, you've made that program dependent on you. And that's not an organization. Now, that's not what they're telling you. You don't know. You've never worked in a nonprofit. You've never ran a nonprofit. You've never structured a nonprofit. You have no idea. But that's not a nonprofit organization. That's a burden. Huh? It's a burden. And that burden gets heavier every month that structure is delayed. Because the program creates pressure. Once people are being served, once promises are being made, once the community begins expecting something from you, the stakes change. Now you're not just building. Now you are maintaining. Now you are reacting. Now you are paying for things. Now you are covering gaps. Now you're trying to fix things while still performing. And that is why so many feel like they're drowning. They did not just start too early, but they started in the wrong order. You started in the wrong order. Listen, I want to slow this down and explain why this happens. because many of you need to understand this part for yourselves. Okay? I want to slow down and I want to explain why does this happen? Because many of you need to understand this part. Most people don't make this mistake because they're careless. Most of you make it because of a combination of passion, misinformation, lack of experience, and lack of exposure. All right? Your passion is creating urgency. Your passion is creating urgency. Jen, I want to start my nonprofit, right? You see a problem and you want to help right now. So you move quickly towards that action. And that's noble, right? But urgency without structure creates instability. Okay? Second, you are often relying on surface level guidance. Surface level guidance. You are relying on surface level guidance. You go online and you search, how do I start a nonprofit? And then you get back, choose a name, file the paperwork, get an EIN, apply for your tax exemption, create bylaws, get a board. And while those are formation steps, forming the nonprofit, they are not organizational development steps. They are not organizational structure steps. So then you are walk away thinking, I started a nonprofit because I filed the paperwork. No, you formed a legal entity. Did you hear what I said? You did not start a nonprofit. You formed a legal entity. You did not build a functioning organization. And again, the truth is this. Many of you have never worked inside of a healthy nonprofit before. You've never seen what a functioning board looks like, what a donor system looks like, what a proper budget looks like. You've never seen what operational processes look like, what the fundable or the infrastructure that brings the money into the organization. You've never seen what that looks like. So you're trying to build something that you have never actually seen built correctly. And because you don't know what's missing, hello, somebody, because you don't know what's missing, you assume the answer is more activity. Let me post more. Let me write more grants. Let me do another program. Let me hustle more. Let me get a new board. Let me change my mission. Let me redo my website. No. More activity on top of a weak structure does not solve the problem. It magnifies it. It magnifies it. It may not magnify it to you, but it magnifies it to your donor. It magnifies it to the grant supporter. Let me make this plain. This mistake shows up in very specific ways. It shows up as you are personally funding the work. That's how it shows up. It shows up with you launching the program and you paying for everything out of your pocket. You're paying for supplies. You're paying for food. You're paying for transportation. You're paying for software. You're paying for printing. You're paying for event costs. You're paying for emergency needs. You're paying for space. And at first, you may call it a sacrifice, right? Jen, I'm doing this work because I'm so passionate. Jen, I'm doing this work because this is such important work, right? So at first, you'll call it a sacrifice. And then it becomes normal. It becomes normal that you're paying for everything. You begin to rationalize, well, Jen, I'm a nonprofit. We don't have any money. Jen, everybody's a volunteer. Jen, we're just passionate about the work. None of that is wrong. However, that's not the way it's supposed to be. You call it sacrifice. It becomes normal that you don't have any donors, you don't have supporters, you don't have sponsors, you don't have a fundraising plan, you don't have a budget, you don't have a board. You're doing everything by yourself. That becomes normal. And then it becomes unsustainable. It shows up as inconsistent funding, money. It shows up as inconsistent money coming into the organization. The organization may receive money randomly, but not strategically, not consistently. Now you don't have there's no donor cultivation process. There's no follow-up system. There's no structured ask pathway. There is no reoccurring giving strategy. So money comes in based on urgency, sympathy, or chance. And this is not a fundraising infrastructure. It shows up as a board that's not clear about their roles, a board that is not active or engaged, a board that is looking to you, but you're doing everything. The board exists on paper. The board exists on paper, but they don't know. They don't know what they're responsible for. They don't know what they are expected to give. They don't know whether or how much to raise, how to get money. They don't know how to raise money. They don't know whether to govern or to volunteer. So now you, as the person who started the nonprofit, as the founder, as the CEO, you stay at the center of everything. And that shows up as burnout. It shows up as overwhelm. Now you're discouraged. Now you're again paying for everything out of your pocket. Now you're overwhelmed. Now you're afraid. Now you're sitting back thinking, I didn't think it took this much. You're confused. You're looking at other organizations bring in money, but you can't. You're applying for grants and not getting them. You can't understand that when you go out to network, people don't seem to understand what you're talking about. They nodding, but they're not giving. Let me tell you that that's not money. That's because your systems are weak. You became the system. And as a founder operating as the mission carrier, right? You're carrying the mission. You're doing the fundraisers, you're managing the board, you're the accountant, you're the program lead, you're the strategist, you're the one that's doing the programs, you're doing the events. That when you're operating everything, everything will eventually hit a wall. And not because you don't love the work, but because no one was meant to carry an organization alone. It always shows up as a strong mission with weak systems. And this is where many of you live. Y'all live there. The mission is powerful. The need is real, and you're committed. But behind the scenes, there's no budget, there's no workflow, there's no defined outcomes, there's no fundraising calendar, there's no CRM discipline, there's no role clarity, there's no 90-day priorities, there's no fundraising strategy, there's no donor acquisition. So the mission sounds stronger than the machine supporting it. I'm going to say that again for the people in the bushes. On paper, right? Because y'all done got cousin Chat to come up with your mission. So the mission sounds stronger than the machine supporting it. Now, you may not know the difference because you don't have really an experience. You got surface knowledge. You have surface knowledge. Surface says, I got my 501c3 and I got my EIN and I got a board. That's surface. But your donors, they know the difference. Yeah, you sound great, but you don't have a machine to back it up. You don't. That program is not what you started. You may not know, but your donors know. This is where I need people to stop romanticizing starting a nonprofit. Can we deal in reality, please? Do y'all mind? Now, listen, if y'all follow me for any amount of time, you know I'm going to tell you the truth, right? I'm going to tell you the truth and I'm going to tell it to you straight. However you take it is how you take it. I am not going to apologize for telling you the truth, okay? I may add more to it, but I'm not going to apologize for telling you the truth because at least you can say, she said it straight, but, and she told me the truth. Those people that are giving money are not funding your passion. They're not giving money for your passion. Did you hear what I said? That grant funder is not giving you grant money because you got passion. Now, nobody may say it like that, but that's the way it is. That's the way it is. You're not going to get a major donor, a monthly donor, a regular donor, an annual donor because you got passion. They're not going to give you that. They are assessing your capacity. They are asking, can this organization, not your program, not your passion, not that 501c3 status, can your organization manage money? No, Jen, we don't have a budget. No, Jen, I'm paying for everything out of my pocket. No, Jen, we don't have financials. Mm-mm. So you're showing them you can't manage money, and you're supposed to. Can you deliver the work, not your passion, not your passion? Can you produce a result responsibly? Is there a leadership behind you? Or are you doing everything by yourself? Is there a plan for sustainability? Are there systems in place to ensure that funding is coming, money is coming into the organization? Is this organization sustainable? Why are they asking that? Because they want to know what happens after we give. If the honest answer is we have the heart, but not the structure. No, Jen, we don't have a budget. No, Jen, we don't have a board. No, Jen, we don't have a fundraising plan. No, Jen, we don't have a strategy to bring in money. No, Jen, we don't know how to fundraise. No, Jen, we don't have a board. No, Jen, I'm paying for everything out of my pocket. Let's be honest. You have heart. And that's not an organization. Let's stop romanticizing this now. Wake up. Money is not your problem. The problem is you have romanticized this thing. And this is why funding, money, bringing in money is hard. That's why it's hard. Jen, we don't have any funding. Jen, we don't have any money. Jen, I'm paying for everything in my pocket. Jen, I can't get donors. Jen, I don't have supporters. Jen, we have few events. Jen, we don't know how to fundraise. My board's not helping me bring in money. That's why it's hard because you don't have a structure. You don't have a structure to do that. You don't have a process to do that. You don't know how to do that. And this weekly built organization that just has a piece of paper and an EIN and an articles of incorporation, that's all they got. It's a risk. It's a weak organization. That's a risk. And responsible donors, supporters, contributors, sponsors, those that give grants, they pay attention to risk. They're not paying attention to your program and what you want to do, but you don't have the organization to back it up. And this is why people get frustrated. This is why when you say, we've been doing great work for years, we've been doing great work for years, but nobody is funding us. Doing good work matters. But the nonprofit world does not run on effort alone. It runs on trust. It runs on structure. It runs on execution. It runs on evidence. You can have a beautiful mission, and still be unprepared to operate your organization. Your program and your organization are not the same thing. You can have a beautiful mission and an amazing passion for that program and not be prepared to run, to structure the organization. And the organization is what you started. You can be deeply committed and still be structurally weak. You can be visible in your community and still not be fundable. What does that mean? They see you. They see you working hard. They know that program is amazing, but they won't give you any money. Why? Because you don't have a budget. You don't have a fundraising strategy. You don't have a plan for sustainability. You're doing everything by yourself. Listen, this may hurt, but what they are giving to is impact, result. I just want to be clear because clarity is what makes correction possible. I just want y'all to know y'all are out here wilding out. Y'all are wilding out now. Y'all are running around here talking about how do I find donors? How do I get supporters? How do I get contributors? Build an organization that they can trust, not a program that you're passionate about, not a work that you want to do. Build an organization that they can trust. I want to talk directly to two groups of people. I want to talk directly to two groups of people. One group are those of you that are just getting started. You have an idea, you have a program concept, and you feel strongly about your work, but you do not have structure yet. You don't have structure yet. You're at a very critical point because right now, you still have a chance to build it the right way, in the right order. In the right order. For many of you that are stuck right now, you're stuck not because your work isn't important, it's because you built it in the wrong order. You can still stop yourself from making the mistake of launching activity before building the organization behind it. And this matters because if you build the infrastructure first, hear me now, if you build the organizational infrastructure first, you save yourself wasted time, wasted money, disorganized growth, reactive fundraising, and burnout. I'm just telling you the truth. Group number 2, those of you that have already started, right? And maybe you've been operating for years. For years. You filed the paperwork a while ago and you already are running your program. You're doing events, you're doing fundraisers, you're doing outreach, right? And there are people that know that your organization exists. But now you're feeling the pressure. You are realizing that this is harder than you thought. Do I have a choir in the house? Now you got yourself a full-fledged nonprofit and you're thinking of yourself, oh my God, this is harder than I thought. Money is inconsistent. The board is weak. They're not active. They're not able to help you. Your operations are all over the place. You're carrying and paying for everything out of your own pocket. You're overwhelmed. You're stuck. You're discouraged. But you got to put on a good face, right? Because you done started this thing now. So you got to put on a good face. And you're confused as to why won't people support this? And this does not mean you're done. That's not what I'm saying. It means that you need to correct your organization's foundation. It means you didn't know what you didn't know, and you built it based on only what you knew. And the way that you built it was wrong. Now, that's a tough pill to swallow because many of you may sit there and think, oh my God, I did this thing wrong. That's why I don't have funding. That's why I don't have boards. That's why I don't have support. I did this wrong. Let me say this. Yes, you did it wrong. And the sooner you accept that you did it wrong, that you put the program ahead of the organization, as soon as you can accept that, then you can fix it. But it cannot be fixed by pretending. Hear me now. It cannot be fixed by pretending your issues are grants. I just need a grant. I could just get a grant. Or fundraisers or fundraising. or a new board. That's not going to fix it. It has to be corrected at the organizational level. This is also why so many organizations don't trust trainings. Okay. So many nonprofit organizational trainings, the trainings that you go to, the fundraising trainings, the board development trainings, the grant writing trainings, um, trainings about your CRM, trainings about social media, right? This is why so many of those trainings do not solve your problem. Because many of those trainings, most of those trainings, focus on one piece. They give you fundraising tips, they give you board tips, they give you grant writing lessons, they give you program suggestions, they give you motivational notes. And then they send you home with a notebook full of disconnected information. Now, again, you don't have any experience. You don't know how to make the connection. You don't know what goes first, what goes second, or what comes last, right? You don't know in what order to do these things. And so now you've got this disconnected information that still is not building your structure. And this is why people take fundraising classes in one place, and then they take a grant writing class someplace else. And then they take a board development workshop someplace else, right? And then you pay for every piece separately, every piece separately. And after all of that, you still do not have a connected organizational system. You have information, but you don't have a foundation. You don't have an organizational build out. You do not have sequence. You don't have the correction. You don't have the execution. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Over the next 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I am doing a 3-day summit where I am putting your structure together, your entire structure. Let me be direct. Let me be direct. I don't do typical trainings. I don't do typical nonprofit trainings. I don't do trainings where you come and take notes or get ideas and try this later. No. These 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all day, 3 days. This is a structured, hands-on experience where you begin building your organization, structuring the organization the right way, the correct way, creating a clear path of not just starting your nonprofit, but the plan of execution of how to run your nonprofit. And that distinction matters because you don't need more inspiration. You need clarity. You need structure. You need the steps. You need more than vague encouragement. You need to identify what's missing and how to fix it. And then you leave with a path on how to execute. Y'all have a lot of information, but you don't know how to execute it. Am I right or no? Most nonprofit trainings focus on programs. Get a grant for your program. I focus on the organization because here's the truth. Most organizations do not struggle because of their program. Most organizations don't struggle because of the program. They struggle because they built the program before building the structure of the organization to sustain it. And how does that show up? That shows up with you personally funding your organization. That shows up with inconsistent or no funding at all. That shows up with unclear board roles. That shows up with burnout and overwhelm. That shows up with a strong mission, but weak internal systems to bring in the money to support the mission. Listen, I'm here to fix all of that. I'm here to fix all of that. Those that want to start now and not later. I work with two types of people. Two types. The people that are ready to get started and want to get started correctly. You have a great idea. You've got an amazing program concept, but no structure. You don't know how to run the organization. You don't know how to set up the organization. You don't know how to structure the organization. You don't know how to raise money for the organization. That's what I do. That's my expertise. 40 years of doing this work. The other person that I work with are the people that have already started. You've been operating maybe for years, and you know that you don't have the proper foundation. And you are now feeling the pressure because now you're looking for funding. Now you're looking for money. Now you're looking for grants, right? You're looking to hire help because you're doing everything by yourself. You've learned a few things and you know that this was more than you thought it was. And the truth is, both situations come from the exact same place. You built the program before you built the organization. And the truth is this, that until you build that organization, your problems will never change. Until you build that organization which is designed to bring in the money to support the expenses of that program. Let me say that again. The organization that is intended and supposed to and designed to bring in the money to support the expenses of that program. The program is an expense. The program doesn't bring in any money. So without building the organization, without structuring the organization, you're going to continue to struggle. It's not a step you can skip. You can skip. You see it. You skip that step. That's why you're struggling. Now it's showing up as no money. It's showing up as we don't have supporters. It's showing up as we don't have contributors. It's showing up that we don't have grants. That's because your organization is not built. The grant funder is asking about the organization, not their program. The grant funder is saying, do you have a budget? Do you have financials? Do you have a fundraising plan? How do you plan to sustain this organization? Listen, I want to correct all of that. I want to show you how to correct it. I want to correct it with you. I want to correct it with you. I'm going to say, do this, do this, do this. You don't come to me to learn. You don't come to me to learn only. You come to me to build. You come to me to execute. People come to me and they walk away with a clear, fundable mission and a program model, defined outcomes, and an impact framework, a structured board, and a governance plan, a 90-day execution strategy, a fundraising strategy, not guesswork. Did you hear what I said? People come to me, they say, Jen, I need to make my organization fundable. What does that mean? That donors, that sponsors, that contributors want to give their money to. They're not giving money because you got a program. They're not giving money because you got passion. No, we've got to make your organization attractive. They're entrusting your organization with their money, not your program. So people come to me and say, Jen, I need to position and to make sure my organization is built properly so that it can attract donors, supporters, contributors. I need there to be defined plan of action to raise money. I need to understand what are the roles, responsibilities, and opportunities of delegation for the board. Otherwise, you don't know how to delegate to the board. They don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. You need them to help you, but they don't know how to help you. No, that's an organizational issue that's showing up as the board is disengaged. No, this is not about note taking. This is about foundational construction. And over the next 3 days, over those 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're going to hear from a financial expert covering QuickBooks and proper accounting practices. You're going to hear from a visibility expert who will show you how to attract your ideal donors and supporters. Listen, these are critical components of what attracts supporters to your organization. Now, this is not what anyone talks about. No one talks about this. They talk about the paperwork, they talk about grants, they talk about boards, they talk about all the things that cannot function properly if the organization is not structured properly. None of those things matter if the organization is not structured properly. Putting your organization together is not optional. If you're serious about building something real, then the work starts before you walk into starting your program. I bring clarity. I expose the gaps in your organization system. I help you organize the program details. I help you to prepare for not just how much money you need to spend, but where does revenue come from to cover those expenses. What I do is take the financial responsibility off your back and create an organization that can sustain itself. The organization is supposed to be paying its own expenses. The organization is supposed to be bringing in money itself. You've got 16 streams of revenue. You've got 16 streams of revenue. The organization is supposed to have a diverse stream of revenue so that it pays for all the expenses, not you. The money is not supposed to be coming out of your bank account. It's not supposed to be coming off your credit card. It's not supposed to be coming out of your savings. But nobody told you that. Listen, in this season, I am working with organizations that want to be set up properly so that they can compete for funding. All right. I'm not interested in people who just want to come back and sit back and absorb ideas. I want to help organizations build for sustainability. Let me leave you with this. If your nonprofit is struggling, the answer is not work harder. In most of your cases, the answer is you need to stop. You need to assess. You need to be honest with yourself, and you need to correct your structure. You need to build the organization behind the mission. Because a strong mission without structure will wear out. A good program without infrastructure will stall. passion without systems and processes to bring in the money to cover those expenses will eventually become pressure. And many of you are living under pressure right now because no one taught you how to build the organization first. That's what I do. That's what I teach. No hype, no theory, no more notebooks full of disconnected ideas. This is about building what your nonprofit actually needs to become clear, credible, and fundable. If you're ready for a different kind of nonprofit training, if you're ready for coaching, if you're ready for clarity, if you are ready to finally stop being the supporter and the sole supporter of that organization, if you are ready to learn how to do the work and how to do it right, if you're ready to identify the gaps, if you're ready to build, if you're ready to fix what has been holding your organization back, I don't want you to feel inspired. I want you to leave with structure. I want you to leave with clarity. I want you to leave with direction. I want you to leave with the real execution plan. And one more thing. You've got to be honest with yourself. Money is not your problem. Most organizations do not fail because the mission is not worthy. Organizations fail because the organization behind the mission was never built. It was not built to carry it. And that's what I'm here to fix. All right. I want to say thank you for your time. I want to say thank you for listening. And I hope that the information that I've provided has been clear. I hope that it has been clear. I hope that it has been clarifying. And I hope that it will reach the right people who say, Jen, I don't just have a vision or a passion to start a nonprofit. I want to know how to run it. I want to know how to raise funds for it. I want to know how to be able to hire staff to expand the work that we do so that we're able to more greatly impact our community. When you're ready to do that, I'm here to help. My name is Jennifer. I am your nonprofit expert. Over 40 years of experience helping nonprofit organizations not just start, but how do you scale and how do you sustain the work that is so important to your community. Thank you all for listening.